Jaguars up. We live. Jaguars up. Hit the likes button. You already know. Hit the likes button. This is your host for the hour. This is none other than Left Side of the Brain. This is your host of the hour, Left Side of the Brain. How y'all doing? Thought I would do a live stream. And let's jump right into it. The title is Why You Should Not Fear Death. Okay? You see, the fear of death is one of the things that they can hold over your head. You see, death is almost like somebody holding a gun to your child's head and saying, if you don't do such and such, I'm going to kill your child. So, as it relates to the HPB realm, they know that you will be willing to do anything to avoid death because people fear dying. Because people fear dying for some reason. But we're going to explain why. Okay. Now, the thing is, when you are afraid of death, somebody can use that to their advantage because they can make you do just about anything. But once you get over the hurdle of being afraid to die, then you would have conquered all of your fears. Because any fear that you have, it's founded upon dying. The worst thing that you can think of, or whatever it is that makes you afraid, ultimately, you are afraid of that thing because you feel as if it can make you die. No matter what type of phobia it is, it can be a phobia of sharks, spiders, anything. Ultimately, it's founded upon the fear of dying. As it relates to this world, the worst thing that can happen to you in this life is losing your life. That's what most people would say. So that's why people, are so afraid of dying. But once you give up the love of this life, then guess what? You have jumped over the last hurdle in life, which is conquering the fear of death. Now, some people may have a fear of heights. Some people may have a fear of being in the dark. But the ultimate fear or the ultimate phobia that most people share is the fear of dying. That's a worldwide phobia that people have. And the reason why people are afraid of death because they don't know about it. They don't know what death will bring. But I'm here to tell you today that you have already experienced death. You may say, when? When did I experience death? You experienced death before you were born. Because if that's the worst thing that you fear not existing, guess what? You have already experienced that. Before you were born, you did not exist in this world. So what's the big fear? Think about it. You already went eons and eons of not existing. Nobody knew who you were. Nobody knew your name. Nobody knew anything about you. And you was perfectly fine. It's not until, in fact, even when you were first born in this world, you didn't have a fear of death. The fear of dying is something that you were programmed into, because the the more you we had a technical difficulty on my end. They said my stream was interrupted. So whatever, we back. Okay. Before you came into this world, you had already experienced non-existence. So when you reached a certain age, that's when you became attached to this world. And that's where you began to fear dying because of attachment. But that's the problem. And we're going to explain all of this. We're just warming up. That's the problem. Because you started fearing death because you fear the unknown. So your fear of death is based upon an ignorance that death is worse than life. Also, it's based upon lacking confidence in yourself. Because ultimately, when one is afraid to die, one is afraid of facing what could be beyond life. So one is afraid of death because one lacks the confidence in himself. Now, we spoke about inactive consciousness and we spoke about active consciousness in the last red light edition. Now, each one of these live streams we do, I'm connecting dots throughout this channel. So everything is like a big lesson on this channel. Now, before you were born into this world, you existed in a state known as before you were born into this world, you existed in a state known as inactive consciousness. Okay? You existed in a state of inactive consciousness. Inactive consciousness is the state that's free of worries, concerns, and desires. It's the state that's free of worries, concerns, and desires. Okay? Somebody's trying to call me and I text them, please text me, and they still calling. Like, that's so stupid. It's nothing but the devil. Now, when you live, somebody is texting me crazy stuff while I'm doing my live stream. Come on, man. Before you were born, right? You existed in a state of inactive consciousness, which is free of worries, concerns, and desires. Okay? During that time, you had no attachments to anything. It wasn't until you were born into this world, and that's when you switched from inactive consciousness to active consciousness. Active consciousness is the consciousness which consists of worries, concerns, and desires. Now, here's the thing. Why is somebody texting me constantly after I just told them to stop? Here's the thing. Once you gain active consciousness of worry, concerns, and desires, that's when you decided that if I lose all of these things that I'm worried, concerned, and desiring, that's the end of me. But that's the wrong view to have of life and existence itself. Because existence is not based upon what you experience. Existence is not based upon what you experience. You're probably saying, what do you mean? What you experience is your time during existence lived out inside of creation. Meaning, what you are doing right now, even listening to me as I speak, that's not the definition of existence. That's the definition of experience within an active consciousness, which is predicated upon worries, concerns, and desires. So right now, at this very moment, me and you both, we are experiencing existence within a world of creation that we navigate through our five senses of taste, touch, hear, see, and smell. But that is not the sum total of your existence. Because before you existed within your five senses, during the time before you were born, you only existed as inactive consciousness, but you still existed. So what I'm saying is, people fear dying because they have become addicted to the five senses of taste, touch, hear, see, and smell. And they have become attached to this world. An attachment to this world is the very thing that the HPB realm can dangle over your head. Also, the fear of dying is another component to what they hold over your head. Because if you can get someone to fear dying, then you can control them. But once you conquer that fear of death, once you give up that attachment to this world, then and only then are you truly free. And then and only then are you walking as a true person with understanding, because you have confidence in the hereafter that is not going to be devastating, and whatever it is, you have confidence that you will be able to face it. Y'all get what I'm saying? So had to pause for a second, people coming through. But yeah, that fear of dying, it's a it's nothing but a hostage. It's like a hostage situation. Like they can say, if you don't do this, ultimately you're going to die, or they're going to threaten you with death. The worst sentence that they can give somebody in this world is the death sentence, right? That's the worst sentence they can give someone, because they understand that this life is what people feel like this is all there is. So the ultimate sentence is death. We'll take away everything from you. If you do a crime that's considered heinous enough, then we'll take away your very life. But if a person don't fear dying, you're not taking away anything from them. It's like if you don't like video games and your mom say, you on punishment for a week, no more video games. Is that a punishment? No, it's not, because you don't care. You're not attached to it. So that's what I'm saying about death itself. Death itself. It shouldn't be something that you fear. It shouldn't be something that you are attached to. Life shouldn't be something that you are attached to. Life should be just something you are voyaging through. You know? Simple as that. You know, it seemed like as soon as I started making this video, I mean, I've been attacked by people, like people walking past, people texting me, people calling and all of that. So let me get back to what I'm saying. Once you get past that, once you get past that fear, you conquered the last hurdle. Because you got to think about it like this. This life is not a solution to anything. It's not a problem solver. Okay? If you keep living and living, let's just say we live and we never die in this type of world situation, you know what that would mean? The only thing that would mean is we would constantly be on a quest for survival. All of our energy for all eternity would go into surviving, working on a job, paying our bills, making sure we have a healthy relationship with our wife or our husband, making sure our kids have clothes. That would last for all eternity. It would never stop. So our whole life, all of our energy would forever be instilled in surviving. So you know what that would mean? Whatever you put all of your energy into, that's what you have made into your God. So survival would be your God for all eternity. Your job would be your God. Your relationship, everything that you attach to that makes you happy, that would be your God. Because you would work for all eternity to keep these things in your life, to keep these people in your life. You see what I'm saying? So it's like being afraid of dying means you are basically holding on to the things that life consists of to give you meaning and definition. People are not afraid to die because they are afraid of just death. You know the real reason why people are afraid of dying? Because they're afraid of being alone. They think death means solitude, boredom, or maybe in a religious sense, they feel like I'm an evil person, so if I die, but that's not even it. They more so they feel like their ego doesn't want to let go of this life because they feel like being alive gives me a purpose. I get to be something in the eyes of other people. And not only that, I have my mother, I have my father, I have my friends, I have my kids, I have my job, I have my career. I'm attached to all of these things. And all of these things pumps up my ego. It makes me feel like I'm alive. It makes me feel like I'm alive. So basically, by holding on to that position in life, the person has admitted that other people make them feel alive and that they are living solely because of other people. That's why they're afraid of dying. They feel like if I leave all of this behind, I can't be anything of value existing by myself. I can't be the person who I am. I can't just be positive energy just by myself. I need to be embraced by other people. I need to feel important. So their reasons for fearing death is egotistical. It's based in the ego. You see? And what they don't understand is the only reason why they have an ego is because they were introduced to other people, but their real self, the real state of existence is inactive consciousness. You get what I'm saying? So everything that you are holding on to is not the reality of existence. Existence, again, is not based on what you are experiencing within creation. Existence is merely existing. You don't have to have sound. You don't have to have color. You don't have to have touch. You don't have to have taste. You don't have to have any of that to exist. Once you was introduced to those things, and once those things were taken away, that's when you began to feel like you lost something. We originated from the state of inactive consciousness. But once you became affiliated with the world via your five senses, once somebody threatens to take that away from you, you feel like you lost something. But how did you lose something if you existed before you even knew anything about taste, touch, hear, see, and smell as inactive consciousness? It's not until you are introduced to something and then after you lost it and you lose the feeling of having had that experience and you want to experience that feeling again, that's where the feeling of loss comes from. And that's why people fear death, because they feel like I don't want to lose this experience, as if they wouldn't exist without this experience. But forgetting the fact you originated as inactive consciousness, free of worries, concerns, and desires. Now, what does all of this mean? What it means is the HPB realm, that's how it keeps itself going based upon the worries, concerns, and desires of people. What the HPB realm does, what life does in general, it just manipulates your worries, your concerns, and your desires. That's all people do throughout this life, is manipulate your worries, concerns, and desires to their advantage. Got a spider web on me. Do y'all get what I'm saying? When somebody tricked you, they only were able to trick you because they manipulated something that you desired or were worried about or concerned about. You can't manipulate a person who don't have any worries, concerns, and desires. And what do we say? This realm is built upon what? Violence and manipulation. If you are worried about violence, worry, concern, desire, if I'm going to use violence to control you, and if you are worried about violence being implemented against you, then guess what? I have manipulated your worry. You get what I'm saying? If you have a concern about dying, and if I say, I'm going to kill you if you don't do such and such, then guess what? I have manipulated your concern. If I say, if you sign this contract, and if you take this blood oath and sell your soul for this mansion and this $100 million check, guess what? I just manipulated what? A desire. That's what the human prison ball realm uses to keep itself in control. All it does is manipulate worries, concerns, and desires, which only came about when you came into active consciousness, which began after the time of the great falling away. You get what I'm saying? So the fear of death is also saying that you like being a slave, because death is the only thing that will free you from a life of constantly having to survive and to work at keeping those things that make you happy and that gives you positive feelings. In this life, you are a slave to your desires, because every day you work to keep a house, to keep clothes, to keep food on the table. You work to keep that relationship with that woman or with that man. You see what I'm saying? So one who fears death is basically saying, you know what? I feel like I want to do this all my life. For all eternity, I just want to be in survival mode. Whereas when you existed as inactive consciousness, you didn't have no worries, concerns, or desires, and you still existed. And for those who are afraid of death, it also means you don't understand life. If you knew anything about life, you would know that everything is energy. Energy does not die. So someone who is afraid of dying They can say what they want to say. They are not sure of themselves. They are lacking something on the inside of them. So that's why they feel like if they die, that they are incomplete. They will feel incomplete, not knowing that you could live for 1,000,000 years and you would still feel incomplete. One thing about life, life will never satisfy you. As long as you're living, there will be moments in your life where you will feel incomplete. You can accomplish all the goals in the world. There will still be a void on the inside of you because life does not fill the void. Life itself does not fill the void. You know what fills the void? Only one thing. Let me see who know in the comment section. What's the one thing that will fill that void? What's the one thing that'll fill the void? Who knows? Anybody gonna say it? What's the one thing that'll fill that void? Not happiness. Not happiness. What's the one thing that'll fill that void? Not insights. Almost. That's close, close, close. We say it all the time. Somebody got it. Trent Sombra. Thank you. You got it. And Paymon Lucifer got it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The truth is the only thing that'll fill that void. And part of the truth is getting over the hurdle of being afraid to die. The right understanding to heaven. That's the only thing. The truth. The right understanding to heaven. That's the only thing that will fill that void. Once you realize where we live is the HPB realm, once you realize that, once you get over the fear of death, you have accomplished everything that you can accomplish in this life. Because this life, look, it's like this. You keep living in this life, and if you're living in the eyes of other people, eventually you're going to be useless to people at a certain point. When you get 80, 90, 100, you can still be healthy and everything, but far as your usefulness in the world, if you didn't live a life based upon teaching truth to people, you're going to be useless once you get 80, 70, even 60. No matter how beautiful you were, one day, guess what? All of that will fade away. So no matter how gorgeous you think you are, no matter how beautiful you think you are, guess what? It will fade away eventually. So if all you living for is like those materialistic type of things, it's going to vanish. That's why people, when they get down to their lowest point, guess what? They say, I want to die. When people say they are afraid of dying, that's when they think they still got stuff to live for. They still think they are useful. They still very egotistical. They still materialistic. But when they get to their lowest point and they feel worthless, then they no longer are afraid of dying. They be wishing death would come. And that proves what I'm saying, that people, they want to hold on to life when it's benefiting them, when it's making them look like they the number one person, when they are at their best years of looking attractive to the opposite sex. But when all of those things start to vanish, guess what? They start coming to reality of things. They start to say to themselves, I'm just ready to die. I'm just ready to give it all up. I'm no longer this beautiful fox that I used to be. Or man, he may say, I'm no longer this gym rat I used to be. I mean, who can I defend? Who can I provide for now? I'm useless. I don't got no money in the bank. No woman wants me. I don't want to be in this life no more. Then that's when they'll start to say that. Then they will reflect on life and say, what's my purpose for being here? But even in that sudden reality check that they come into, once their vanity fades away, it still shows that they learned the lesson, but they had to learn it the hard way. And that's the thing about the truth. You will come to the truth whether you want to receive it or not. The truth will smack you in the face. Whether on your deathbed or whether you accepting it willingly, like tuning into this live stream right now. It will smack you in the face eventually. I just chose to accept it now. I don't want to be 80 or 90 or 70 or 60 or even 50 and not realizing this truth right here. But you know what? That's the reality for the majority of people. They don't want to accept things, and that's where their fear of dying comes from. Because they define everything based upon this life of living in the eyes of other people. Because just imagine, in this scenario, this hypothetical scenario, just imagine if you could slip in and out of this world and the inactive consciousness state. But in this scenario, also imagine you were never introduced to anyone else. You didn't know anything but yourself. It was just you and consciousness, okay? Just imagine you were able to wake up from inactive consciousness and came over into the active consciousness realm. Let's just say you slipped into the world, this earth, this atmosphere. You looked around, you saw trees. What would you say to yourself? Who would you be living for in that scenario? It would be no different than an inactive consciousness state, because it would just be you. You would have never been introduced to anybody or anything other than you looking around and seeing the trees, and you wouldn't know what the trees were. You wouldn't even have a name for the trees. Only thing you would see is the sky, the trees, the water, and that's it. You wouldn't even have a name for it. So therefore, you would be existing without an ego. You wouldn't have an attachment to anything. So within this scenario, it would be nothing for you to leave the world of color and shape and sound behind to go back into the inactive consciousness state. You wouldn't be feeling like you missing anything. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. We get attached to not the world itself. We get attached to what we were introduced to. You get what I'm saying? Like Adam, for instance. In the story of the Garden of Eden, and I know everybody has heard of this story, it was just Adam existing in the garden. Okay? And basically, he didn't have an ego. It was just him. So, guess what? He didn't have no fear of death. He felt complete. He didn't feel like he was missing out on anything. Far as, I haven't got married by this age, I haven't done this, I haven't wrote any books, I haven't did this, I haven't did that. He felt complete. It's not until you are introduced to the world of human prison bars and people who are already programmed, even while you was a child and you grew up and became attached to this world. And by you being attached to this world, you also, by default, became attached to every misconception that people had inside of them. And they taught you those misconceptions when they was teaching you in school, and your parents was passing down their misconceptions on life and programming you with their ignorance about life. We are all victims of what the people before us programmed inside of us. And one of those things they programmed inside of us is to fear death, to fear dying. That's one of the things they programmed inside of us. You get what I'm saying? And I'm saying you need to let it go. It's nothing more beautiful to, when you get to the end of your life, to be able to lay down with a smile on your face, knowing that you didn't live in vain. You gained the truth of what life was about. And you left out of here as a winner, on top. Because you left out of here with the truth of what it was about. Versus you leaving this life panicking and screaming like an evil demon about to be sent to hell. That means you failed at life. When you fear death, that means you are a failure in life. You shouldn't fear anything. Especially something that's inevitable to happen. When you start to look at death differently, you will not fear it. It's just a passing through of an experience. Everything we're doing right now is just an experience via our five senses. That's it. That's why I don't get attached to things, people, none of that. Because when you start getting attached to things, what happens when those things that you are attached to, when they start detaching themselves from you? Guess what? You're going to be left feeling empty, constantly seeking the validation of whatever it is that you are attached to. So you gotta view life in the same way. You can't let life validate your existence. You get what I'm saying? You can't let this life be the sum total of your existence. especially if you are saying you are an eternal, conscious, united soul. If you really are a united soul, you would never let this life dictate or speak for your entire existence, because you existed before you were the person that you are now. Before you had that name that your parents gave you, you existed before then. They just threw a name on top of your existence, but you existed before a name. And even after they put you in the grave, you will still exist. It all depends on how you leave here, will determine how you will exist after you leave this physical planet and this physical body. If you leave in the wrong mindset, guess what? You will, I believe you will come back, because more than anything, the human prison ball realm is based upon emotions, because the human prison ball realm is parasitical by nature. It feeds from the emotions that you give it. So if you give it this emotion that you don't want to die and you're so afraid, guess what? It's going to hold on to that emotion. Your spirit, upon exiting this world, it will turn right back around and reattach itself to another physical body because of your emotions of attachment. But when you know that you have the truth and you pass this life, this life lesson, you can't be brought back into this world. Because again, we say a soul is what? A collection of information. So even now, during this life, you are doing what? You are collecting information. And that information you collect is what builds you into the next person you will become. Just like now, your DNA is made up of information that created you to be the person that you are right now. The shape of your nose, the shape of your lips, the shape of your eyes, your eye color, the height. All of that is information that was passed down to you from your parents. But when you gain the truth, guess what? My, oh my, oh my. Guess what's going to happen to your DNA? It's going to reconstruct you into something else. A collection of information, remember? Your DNA will reconstruct into another form, a higher form of collection of information. I don't think y'all felt that. I just gave y'all something. You will actually reconstruct into a higher being. You will no longer be able to fit in the same DNA structure because your consciousness would have expanded beyond being able to be just a regular human in regular DNA. I don't think y'all heard that. Remember, your soul is a collection of information. Right now, you are collecting information. So once you discover the truth, really, really for yourself, once that confirmation rings inside of you, guess what? You can't return as another prisoner in the human prison ball realm. You will be free, and you will reemerge as something greater in the next life. I don't think y'all heard that. If y'all understand what I just told you, You are a collection of information. Right now, right now, we coming up out of the ignorant stage of our parents coming together, having us. Their ignorance is the reason why we were created in the first place. You know, I say don't have kids. So because they were ignorant and had kids, they created ignorant people who exist in bodies because they lack a certain amount of information. They created physical beings that were a byproduct of their ignorance. So our DNA was created at a certain level of ignorance. But yet inside of us, some of us still had the genetic material in our DNA that goes back to the time of the great falling away. And we can use that. Some of us, like myself, we tapped into that, into those cells that was in our DNA. We activated it. The cells multiplied inside of us. So now we are reconnecting with who we were before the great falling away. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? All I'm telling you is the same stuff I've been telling you. I'm telling you this stuff because I want y'all to get it down packed. This is our philosophy. This is what we believe. So what I'm saying is, once you got it, you won't make the mistake your parents did and die in ignorance. You see, everybody that lives now, we are the generations that came after the generations of ignorant people. They were spiritually dead, spiritually deaf, dumb, and blind. That's why the world is in the shape that it's in. Because we are all the descendants of deaf, dumb, and blind people. But what I'm saying is, we collecting the information now, so when we die, we can't reemerge back into this same shell. We will never be the same. We will be a higher life form. That can be angelic type beings. I believe we will be like angelic type beings because we can't come back to this level and relearn this lesson. We can't do that again. We can't. But if you're one of those people and you fear dying and you don't know the truth, and when you die, you're panicking and you're attached to this world, that means when you die, you are able to be placed back in the same type of environment, in the same type of body, with the same type of ignorant consciousness that you had before you died. You get what I'm saying? Because you never graduated beyond the realm of the human prison bar realm. You get what I'm saying? Because you never graduated beyond it, you are forced to come back. And you did it to yourself by staying attached to this world. See, it's one thing to be in this world and enjoying living, but it's another thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with walks through the park. There's nothing wrong with any of that. What we are saying is believing that this is everything, attaching yourself to it, and just living like a zombie, like everybody else, like a robot. Then that's when you do yourself a disservice. And then again, some of these human prison bars, they permanently are residents to this world. They are permanent residents. They make up the human prison ball realm. They permanent residents here. They got life. This is hell. They got life as human prison bars. They got a lifetime sentence. Yes, they die, but they come right back. They recycle and they come right back. That's right. But we coming through this thing, and this is a one-time deal for us. We're coming through this, and that's it. At least that's how it is for me. This is a one-time deal for me. I'm coming through this, and that's it. I dropped the jewel like I'm doing now. My purpose in life is to drop jewels like I'm doing right now. That's it. I'm dropping gems, I'm dropping jewels, and then I'm out. Simple as that. That's it. Otherwise, you just existing for these reasons right here. Otherwise, you existing for these reasons right here. To eat, to sleep, to get on somebody's nerves, or for somebody to get on your nerves, or to fuck somebody, or for somebody to fuck you, to have a baby, to get a job, to be the manager, or to be the person that get hired, or be the person that get fired. That's it. Your life would be based in being an opposite to somebody. Like, I'm a male, you're a female, I'm the winner, you the loser. You would just be an opposite for the rest of your life. You just exist in a continual, endless cycle of the same old things. And you're going to fall in one of those categories. You're going to be the one that's attractive or the one that's unattractive. You get what I'm saying? You're just going to be an opposite of something for the rest of your life. You're going to be the one that gets accepted or the one that gets rejected. She's going to like you or she's going to like the next man. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be that for the rest of your life. You're going to be the one that get on the person's nerves or they're going to get on your nerves. You see, it never stops. You're going to be an opposite for the rest of your life. I don't want to be that for the rest of my life. That's why I'm telling you all this right now. And at this time, we about to wrap it up. Let's go to the comment section, because I know there's a lot of people in the house. Let's go to the comment section. Let's see who we got in the house. You know, we always shout out everybody. And I know people have been asking questions. We got Donovan Williams in the house. Jaguars up. The Universe. Jaguars up. Invisible Compass. I'll just say Jaguars up at the end to everybody. We got I'm Shar. William Paulino. The Kid Cody. Trent Somber in the house. Jaded. Slim Shady. Bezel. Lickeroni. True Crimes. We appreciate everybody who came out. Endgame. Chronos the Infinite. William A. Den DeJaren. Short Comparison. Paymon Lucifer. Invisible Compass. Inverted Truths. My man Mike Smith. My man Super Ninja Kenny 3. My man King Truly. We want to shout out everybody. We want to give a big Jaguars up. I hope I didn't miss anybody. We got 26 people in the building. I want everybody to thumb up the video if you enjoyed it. Oh, did I miss anybody? Awake Veteran 88, Malate, G Unit. If I missed anybody, it's not by any ill intention. All right, let's see what y'all got to say. Did anybody have any questions? I think I'll go to like 3 questions before we get out. The universe was like, yo, I was just thinking about this topic. What the fuck? That means that was a confirmation. We had someone say, I had a dream of me in the ocean. I was drowning, but I wasn't scared. I just let go. Wow. Um, William Paulino says, I'm not afraid of dying. What I am afraid of is dying alone. Well, this is what I say. Death and birth is the only realities because you are born alone and you will die alone. So death and birth, they complement each other. You were born by yourself and you will die by yourself. It's the reality of existence. Within birth and death, there is a message called alone, and that's the reality of existence. Someone wrote, they going to assassinate left side. He telling too much truth. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be assassinated. They can't assassinate me. But y'all know what? Guess what, y'all? Do you know? And I'm happy he wrote that because he brought up something in my mind that I was thinking about, and I was going to do a live stream about it. How many of y'all are familiar with David Icke? Who familiar with David Icke? Let me see how many people. Put 1 in the comment section if you are familiar with David Icke. Because he just said they're going to assassinate left side. Put 1 in the comment section if you are familiar with David Icke. I got to tell y'all something. And it goes along with a comment the person just made. Guess what? David Icke, they took his channel down off of YouTube. And he had over 1 million followers. And Facebook got rid of his page. So what does that tell you? It don't matter how popular you are, no matter how many subscribers you get, if you are saying things that is exposing what they are about, they will remove your channel. It's happened to me before. So what that dude said about they going to assassinate left side, he's saying too much. Look, they have the power to remove our channels off of YouTube. They just removed David Icke. After y'all finish this live stream, I want you to look it up on YouTube. Put it in the search box. David Icke channel removed. And some people have made videos about it. So what I'm telling y'all is this information wars thing is for real. And he had over 1 million subscribers. My first channel was removed because they don't want people like us speaking. Now, if you fake and you're not really saying anything, they don't mind your channel being up. You can even be breaking the law, like some of these prank videos I'll be seeing. Like, I feel like anybody can do what they want to do, but I'll be seeing some of these prank videos and these dudes be impersonating cops, stopping people, doing all type of stuff. But YouTube does not remove their channels. What does that tell you? That these people, it's like this. I'm gonna tell you something else. they got prank channels on YouTube, right? I seen one. I think the name of the channel is Top Notch Idiots. And they had these dudes impersonating police. And they was pulling people over and was acting like they was police. That's a federal crime. But yet YouTube did not make them remove their channel. They didn't get no strike or anything. But let somebody like me say one thing. Let me say one thing that they may consider a homophobic comment or a racial comment or anything, or something that make the feminists, the feminazi come after me and put some strikes on one of my videos. Guess what will happen? YouTube will remove your channel. But these prank videos, they be getting away with all type of stuff. Pulling people, pulling chairs from under people in public. That's a crime. But YouTube does not remove their videos. It shows you that they are biased. And it also shows you that your communication is also very vital. Because the type of person you are allows you to get away with certain things. It's an unwritten code that exists in an HPB realm that says if person A is doing silly things that serve as a distraction from the important things, this person is vital to our game plan. So we don't mind prank videos that's doing a lot of ignorant stuff because it serves as a distraction from videos like Left Side of the Brain. So they allow those type of people to do whatever they want to do because they serve as a distraction from the real people like myself. You get what I'm saying? So that's another thing that exists within this human prison bar realm. That if you are a human prison bar, you can get away with more stuff. Because you are a distraction. So you work for them. You work for them. But a person who acts differently, you say different things, you can't be on your job speaking what you want to speak about because your conversation goes against what they are about. You serve as a distraction. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm happy that person left that comment because you brought that David Icke thing to my mind. Exactly, Super Ninja. They don't remove those. This is what Super Ninja Kenny said. They don't remove those whores twerking on Instagram either. Underage kids be watching those videos. Nobody says a word. That's right. Because every time before I'm doing a live stream, they always ask me, is my video restricted to 18 and older? I always have to say yes. Because if I say that my video is viewable for kids, then you won't be able to comment in the comment section. So I always have to say, restrict my videos to, when I do live streams, I have to say, restrict my video to 18 years and older. That's what they make you do. Yep. So we got freedom of speech, but it comes with a bunch of red tape. We have freedom of speech, but they trying to make it hard as they can for us. They want to frustrate you. They can't take away your freedom of speech, but they can control their panel. That's how they get around it. That's how YouTube gets around it. Because YouTube is considered a entity of its own within the United States, under the jurisdiction of the United States, but they have the right to police their platform because they have that right. But they inflict upon people like us who speak things that's real because they are a part of the agenda. That's right. So all of that is true, man. Oh, there is a such thing as freedom of speech, but you just got to watch who you say it around. You got the freedom to say whatever you want to say, but you got to be wise about it. I'm utilizing my freedom of speech right now, but it's perks and little criterias and little things that go along with it. Looking to see if anybody else asks another question. I'm looking through the chat feed right now. All right, people, I'm about to end this chat. About to end this live stream. It'll be up in probably the next 20 minutes for your viewing pleasure. You can go back and watch it. Also, I've been seeing the comments from the previous live streams. I'm gonna get to those. I haven't had time to respond to any of your comments yet. From time to time, I do have some time where I can, comment on people, who've been leaving comments on the videos and the live stream. I'll try to get back to that tonight. So until we get together again, I like to say Jaguars up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and hope you enjoy the rest of your night. And everything we speak about, absorb this information, become one with this information, because this information is the only way out. The truth is the right understanding to heaven. Heaven is the escape from this human prison bar realm that we live in. And with that, this is Left Side of the Brain signing out. Jaguars up, Jaguars out.